Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 9, entitled The Appearance of the Demon Vritrasura. Text number 21. Shri Deva Uchuhu Vaivambaragnyapshritayas Brahmadayo ye vayamudvijantaha Haramayasmai balimantakosa Bibheti yasmadaranam tato naha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The demigods said the three worlds are created by the five elements, namely ether, air, fire, water and earth, which are controlled by various demigods, beginning from Lord Brahma. Being very much afraid that the time factor will end our existence, we offer presentations unto time by performing our work as time dictates. The time factor himself, however, is afraid of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, let us now worship that Supreme Lord who alone can give us full protection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When one is afraid of being killed, one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is worshipped by all the demigods, beginning from Brahma, although they are in charge of the various elements of the material world. The words Bibheti Yasmat indicate that all the demons, regardless of how great and powerful, fear the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods, being afraid of death, took shelter of the Lord and offered him these prayers. Although the time factor is fearful to everyone, fear personified is afraid of the Supreme Lord, who is therefore known as Abhaya, fearless. Taking shelter of the Supreme Lord brings actual fearlessness, and therefore the demigods decided to take shelter of the Lord. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. When Krishna had appeared 5,000 years ago, he performed many wonderful pastimes, especially during his childhood. When Krishna was about probably around 1 year old, once it so happened that Yashoda Mai was sitting in her house and she was churning the curd, nice freshly formed curd. She was churning to take out the butter so that she could feed Krishna with it. And Krishna, at that time, he was feeling hungry. He walked up to his mother and started pulling her, pestering her, that I am hungry, I want milk. Yashoda Mai stopped her churning, took Krishna on her lap and started feeding him her breast milk. And while Krishna was drinking his mother's milk, suddenly Yashoda Mai noticed on the fireplace she had placed one pot of milk to boil. And this milk was a special milk which was meant for feeding Krishna. And that milk started boiling and overflowing. Yashoda Mai, immediately she thought, oh, if this milk boils over and it gets burnt, then what will my Krishna drink? So she immediately removed Krishna from her lap, set him down and ran to the kitchen to remove the milk from the fireplace. And it would have taken some time. She had to remove the milk and then put off the fire, and if some milk had been spilt over, clean up and all those kind of things. Some time it took and she came back. Now in the meantime, our Krishna is not someone who is going to wait for anyone. He got very angry. How Mother Yashoda can put me down when I am hungry and I am drinking her milk? How she can put me down and go away? So Krishna became very angry. I will show her what I am. So he looked around, and what to do? He looked at the pot of curd that Mother Yashoda had been churning. He took a stone and broke that pot. And even, all small children also, when they get angry, they will do something naughty like that. And after they do it, then they will start thinking, now what is going to be the consequence? When we grow up, we first think of the consequence and then we act. Children are not like that. They first act and then think of the consequence. So Krishna also broke the pot. After breaking the pot, he started thinking, okay, my anger, bhadas nikal diya. I showed my anger, broke the pot. Now Mother Yashoda will come. What is going to happen? So better I scoot from here. Better I don't stay here. So silently he slipped away from there. So Yashoda Mai, after cleaning up the kitchen or whatever, she came back and she saw Krishna is not there. Okay, Krishna must have gone. He must have gone to play or something. But then she saw that the pot of curd has been broken and the curd is all spilt over. So she thought, who can do this? Nobody can come into the house and do all this. Krishna only must have done this. She deduced. After all, she is a mother. She knows her son. Who can know her son better than her? So she thought, oh, Krishna, you are doing like this. I will teach you a lesson today. She started searching. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And searching, she came to the storehouse where Krishna was sitting and he was taking out the butter and he was feeding all the monkeys. So silently, Yashoda Mai walked up behind him, wanting to catch him. But suddenly, Krishna turned and saw, oh, Yashoda Mai is coming. He left everything and started running. Yashoda Mai also started. She was also not going to give up. Today I have to teach him one lesson. Determined. And she ran after him and Krishna is also running. Yashoda Mai is running. And you know how difficult it is to catch children. Huh? Although they are so small, if they start running, so difficult it is. It's like some of our temples you will be doing ICVK, right? For small children. Even in Chennai also we have started ICVK. Some small kids in that 3 to 5 year age group, they will not sit quietly. They will keep running around and the teacher, to control the child, she will be totally fed up. She will not be able to do it. So children are like that. So Krishna is running. Yashoda Mai is trying to catch, but she is not able to capture him. And laborious, running. She was panting and she was perspiring, but she was also not giving up. Somehow I am going to catch Krishna today. I am not going to give up. So Krishna also saw that his mother has become tired. She is perspiring and she is, breathing heavily. So Krishna allowed himself to be captured by Yashoda Mai. Yashoda Mai caught him. And then when she caught him, she saw Krishna was crying out of fear. What his mother is going to do now? I broke the pot. So already in fear of the punishment, he had started crying. Sometimes it happens, no? We all as children, if you remember when we were in classroom, something we did and the teacher said, show your hand and took the scale. Before the teacher lifts this one itself, we'll start crying. And teacher will say, hey, what did I do? First you show your hand, don't cry. So children are like that. So Krishna also, Yashoda Mai is going to punish me today. He started crying. And Yashoda Mai had applied nice mascara to Krishna's eyes. All that mascara is flowing down Krishna's cheeks. And Krishna is in great fear. He is crying. And Yashoda Mai saw that Krishna is crying so badly. It's not good that he feels so afraid. My child should not be so much afraid of me. So she saw in her hand there was a stick. And seeing the stick, she saw Krishna is becoming so afraid. So she thought, okay, let me not beat him with this stick. She threw away the stick. But then, still punishment has to be there. Otherwise, Krishna will every time do something, cry and get away. So some punishment has to be there. So she saw there was a wooden mortar there. And she took some rope and tied Krishna to it. So you are being so naughty. So I am punishing you. So for some time, you remain there. Let us see what you do. So she tied him to the wooden mortar. And Krishna was hardly about a year old. So Yashoda Mai then tied him and then went off. And then Krishna thought, oh, Yashoda Mai has tied me. Now I'll do something even bigger. She tied me for breaking that pot of curd, no? Now I'll do something even bigger. Let us see what she will do. So he thought what to do and he saw in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, there were 2 tall Arjuna trees, Yamala Arjuna trees. So Krishna started crawling because, 1-year-old children, they'll sometimes crawl, they'll sometimes walk also. It's like that. So Krishna started crawling. And crawling, he came between the two Arjuna trees. And he started pulling the wooden mortar which got stuck between the two trees. And what happened? The two trees fell down. And out of that, two dazzling, effulgent personalities came out. They were, you all know who they are, right? Who are they? Nalakuvara and Manigriva, the sons of Kubera. So they came out and they offered their obeisances to Krishna, they offered their prayers, and they got liberated. In the meantime, the Gopas and Yashodamai, they all came running because two huge trees falling. They made a thundering sound. So everybody came running out. What happened? What happened? And they saw two trees have fallen down and Krishna is between them. So they all thought, oh, great fortune, Narayana has protected him. Otherwise the trees could have fallen on Krishna. What would have been his state? He would have been crushed. So Yashodamai also took Krishna, and then she did not chastise him or anything, thinking, oh, Krishna has been saved. And so like this is the famous Damodara Leela pastime. In a few months, we will have the Damodara month when we will sing those prayers and Damodara Ashtakam prayers, remembering this pastime. Now this happened when Krishna was about 1 year old. Several decades later, Krishna grew up, he got married to 16,000 princesses, he had sons, grandsons, great-grandsons, he had built Dwaraka, ruling over Dwaraka with all the Yadavas. And then the Pandavas had also grown up, they were Krishna's cousin brothers, and they had become very close associates of Krishna. And the Pandavas went through many tribulations, and finally, the battle of Kurukshetra was fought, and the Pandavas got back the kingdom. By this time, Krishna had already crossed the 90 years. He was more than 90 years old. So you can see, he had more than 9 decades had passed. And after Yudhishthira Maharaj was enthroned as the emperor, Krishna stayed for a few months in Hastinapura to please Yudhishthira. And then after a few months, then Krishna said, all the residents of Dwaraka will be waiting for me, so I have to go now. So all the Pandavas assembled, and Satyavati also came. Although she was very old, she was also there, Shantanu's wife. And Draupadi came, Kunti Maharani came, all the Pandavas, they all came, Uttara also came. They started offering their prayers to Krishna. Great anxiety, now Krishna is going to go away. At that time, Kunti Maharani offered her prayers to Krishna. Although Kunti Maharani was the paternal aunt of Krishna, so she was in a superior position to Krishna. Although she was so, she always knew that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She did not think of Krishna like, my nephew, no, not like that. She always had the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when she heard that Krishna is going to go back to Dwaraka, she came and offered her prayers to Krishna, because Krishna was departing. And those prayers of Kunti Maharani are captured in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Beautiful prayers. One of the things that Kunti Maharani prayed to Krishna was, Manye tvam kalam ishanam anadi nidhanam vibhum samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam yan mitak kalihi. She said, because she is aware that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. She said, Manye tvam kalam ishanam. O Krishna, I know that you are Kala, the Supreme Controller in the form of the time factor. Kalam ishanam. So you control everybody in the form of the time factor. The time factor is nothing but it is another aspect of yours. Actually, the time factor is the impersonal form of the Paramatma. So therefore, the time factor is all-pervading and it is all-powerful. Nobody can withstand the force of time. So, manye tvam kalam ishanam anadi nidhanam. Anadi, adi means beginning. Nidhanam means end or destruction. So, even in Hindi we say when somebody dies, we say, inka nidhan ho gaya, right? So that means, nidhanam means destruction or end. When you add the prefix a to the word Adi, what it becomes Anadi. That means Adi means beginning, Anadi means without a beginning. Anadi Nidhanam means without a beginning or end. So Krishna is that supreme time factor which has neither beginning nor end. Samam charantam sarvatra. And in the time factor is very, very impartial. Time factor will not see that this person, he is a small child, small baby. His ayu, his lifespan has got over. But what to do? Poor child, no, let him grow a little more. Time factor will not see. Time, your time has gone up, your duration of life is over. You are a baby, you are an old man, young man, girl, man, woman, child. Time factor will not consider any of those things. Your ayu is over, your lifespan is over. You have to move on to the next body. Time factor is very impersonal. It will never consider, it shows, does not show any mercy, no favor to anyone. So Kunti Maharani said, Samam charantam sarvatra. And all the living entities are under the control of the time factor. And when we say all living entities, it's not just limited to the earth planet. It's not limited to the birds and bees and plants and all that. Even human beings are also under the control of the time factor. Human beings, the human civilization may develop. We may become very advanced. Science and technology may advance a lot. But no matter how much advancement we make, no matter how much scientific discoveries and inventions we make, still we are always under the control of the time factor. Samam charantam sarvatra bhutanam yan mitakkalihi. So all the living entities, not only on this planet, even the devatas are under the control of the time factor. Even Brahma is under the control of the time factor. Brahma also has a fixed lifespan. When the time comes for him when his lifespan gets over, after Dvipararda, 2 Parardas, what happened? He has to give up his body, go on to the next body. So even Brahma, even all the devatas, Agni, Vayu, Chandra, all these devatas, demigods who control all the other living entities, even they are controlled by the time factor. Which is what the devatas themselves are stating here. They are saying, Udvijantaha, we are afraid of the time factor. Because any moment, the time factor may take control of us and we may die. So, Kunti Maharani is well aware of this. Now, Kunti Maharani did not stop there. When she glorified Krishna like this, that you are the time factor, you are the supreme controller, everybody, all the devatas, everybody are afraid of you. But then she remembered, see 90 years have passed by. After 90 years, Kunti Maharani is remembering that incident which happened when Krishna was 1 year old with Yashoda Mai in Vraja. She said, Gopyadadaye tvai kritagasi damatavad yate dashasru kalilanjana sambраmaksham vaktram niniya bhayabhavanaya stitasya samam vimoheti bhirapi yad bibeti. She said, tvai kritagasi, Gopyadade tvai krita agasi. Krita agasi. Agasi means some naughty activity. Krishna, krita agasi, when you did some naughty activity in your childhood, what happened? Gopyadade, damatavad. The gopi, Yashodamai, took a rope in her hand to tie you to the wooden mortar. At that time, Yate Dasha, what was your state? I remember your state. What was your state? Yate Dasha Ashru Kalilanjana Sambраmaksham. There were a flood of tears flowing down your cheeks, and all the mascara was getting washed away. And this was your state. And you are in great fear of Yashodamai. And who are you? Bhirapi yad bhibeti. Fear personified. Fear personified. Who is here? Fear personified? Death. And death is another form of kala or time. So she is saying, the kala, the time factor, is so fearful to all the devatas, and you are the controller of that time factor. Bhirapi yad bhibeti. Even kala, even death personified fears you. And what are you doing? You are crying in fear of Yashodamai. Samam vimohayati. When I remember this, I am bewildered. How can this happen? How is this happening? So this is a completely inconceivable thing. A personality whom fear personified fears, whom Kala, time factor, fears, fearing whom death carries out its duties very impartially and very strictly. Why is Kala so impartial? Because Kala or death is very much afraid. If I don't do my duty properly, Krishna will punish me. So that death is afraid of Krishna, and that Krishna is afraid of a simple cowherd woman, Yashodamai. When I think of this, it's very, very bewildering. So it's inconceivable. How can such a great personality, whom even death personified fears, be afraid of a simple woman like Yashodamai? It's inconceivable. And this astonishment at Krishna's becoming afraid of Yashodamai is not limited only to Kunti Maharani. Even Shukadeva Goswami, when he describes this pastime of the Damodara Leela in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, after describing this, he said, Tam amanyata atmajam, that Yashodamai, she thought Krishna is my son, atmajam. But who is that Krishna? He is avyaktam. He is that unmanifest Supreme Lord who is not visible to everybody. It's not that Krishna is an ordinary person anybody can see. No. He is such a great person. He is avyaktam. Not everybody can see him. Only to whom Krishna reveals himself, they can see him. That is that personality. And adhokshajam. He is completely transcendental. But that Krishna, Yashodamai thought, this Krishna is my son. And thinking like this, what did she do? Gopi kulu khale damna babandha prakritam yatha. She, damna with a rope, ulukale babandha. She tied him to a wooden mortar. What is this? That Supreme Lord who is unmanifest, who is not visible to everybody, even the Devatas, if they want to see Krishna, they cannot see him. They have to go to the shore of the Kshira Udaka, the milk ocean, and then they have to chant the Purusha Sukta prayers, and they please the Paramatma. Even then, Paramatma also is not visible to them. He will only give instructions to Brahma in the heart, and they have to hear, and they have to follow. Om tad Vishnoha paramam padam sada pashyanti suraya. Even the Devatas are waiting. When will we have darshan of the lotus feet of Paramatma, Vishnu? And that Vishnu is one portion of the plenary portion of Krishna. So you can imagine how much tougher it will be to see Krishna. And that Krishna, Yashodama is thinking that this is my son. And prakritam yata, as if Krishna is just another ordinary child like everybody else. Gopi kulu kale damna babanda. She took him and tied him to the wooden mortar. What is this? This is completely unbelievable. So you see, Krishna's feature. On one hand, you have Krishna's feature of being fear personified, so much so that even fear personified fears him. So there is a facet of Krishna which is very frightening to even death personified. Death frightens everyone, right? Death terrorizes everyone. Anybody, when the point of death comes, they will all become completely afraid. So that death who frightens everyone else, including all the devatas, demons, everybody, that death is afraid of Krishna. So Krishna has this facet of being very frightening. At the same time, Krishna has this feature of himself being afraid of his own devotees. Devotees are all completely surrendered to Krishna. They have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna. To those people who have taken shelter of him, to whom he is giving protection, Krishna is afraid of them. So how is this? How do you understand this? Actually, this shows the multifaceted personality that Krishna is. Actually, this facet of Krishna, of being a very a person whom we all have to fear, is there in every religion. And that is why if somebody is very religious, what do we say? He is a God-fearing person. He is afraid of God. Isn't it? That's what we say. Like the Devatas are also stating here, Udvijantaha, we are afraid of Krishna, especially in his form as Kala. So that is one facet of Krishna. And normally in all other scriptures, religious scriptures, only this facet of the Supreme Lord is shown to the people. Oh, God is very powerful. If you don't follow his rules, he will punish you. He will put you into hell. You will have to undergo so much misery. So, with great fear, follow whatever he has told. So, this fearful aspect of Krishna is there in every scripture. Even amongst tribal people, who aborigines, those who are not very civilized people, even amongst them you can see, they will worship some lightning or some thunder or some big mountain with great fear. So you will see this facet of Krishna is there, very commonly you will find it. But it's only in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Krishna is shown to be a multifaceted personality. And this fact, Shukadeva Goswami brings out in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. When Krishna, when he was about 10 years and 6 months old, Krishna left Vrindavan, Nandagaon, and he came to Mathura to attend that Mela, that great festival which had been organized by Kamsa. When Krishna came there, Kamsa had made a big plan. In the name of a Mela, he had called everybody, invited everyone. He had called all his allies, some friendly kings, and then he had called some yogis, some ascetics, some rishis, all those kind of people. And he had also invited all the village people. Here, like that, he sent an invitation to Vraja also, to Nanda Maharaj, that we are organizing a big festival, all of you also come, like that. So all these people had come to Mathura, and there was a big stadium which had been erected, and everybody was seated. The kings were given one position, the common folk of Mathura were given another position, invitees like Nanda Maharaj, the Brajavasis who had come from other villages, they were given another position. The rishis, the sages, they were given another separate area. Like this, all these people were seated in that big stadium. And then what Kamsa did, he called all his close associates. He had some associates who were big wrestlers. Chanura, Mushtika, Toshala, he called all of them. See, the person who is supposed to kill me, I am doing some trick and getting him to Mathura. And that person is Krishna. Krishna and Balaram, two brothers are there. So they are only 10.5 years old, but they are very powerful. So many asuras I had sent earlier here, they have killed all of them. So now I want that when they come, you should invite them for a wrestling match and you should kill them. And Chanura, Mushtika, they all said, 10-year-old boy, why are you bothered, King Kamsa? Some fluke, he must have killed all the other asuras. Don't worry, we are all there. And they started flexing their biceps and all that. They were wrestlers, strongly built, 56-inch chest and all those kind of things. So very powerfully built and very strong and professional wrestlers, not ordinary people. Even today you will see, wrestlers will be, very strongly built. So in this big stadium, in the midst of that, there is the wrestling arena and there is a lot of music and dance and so many other things going on. And then Krishna and Balaram, with a few of his cowherd boyfriends, they entered the stadium. And when they entered the stadium, Shukadeva Goswami says, all the people, their eyes turned towards Krishna. Because Krishna is such a charismatic personality. He makes an entry, everybody's eyes will turn. So all the wrestlers, they were showing their moves and all that, they all stopped and said, oh, this is the person who has come. All the yogis, the rishis, the Mathura Vasis, the Vrajavasis, they all stopped and they saw, oh, Krishna is entering. Beautiful personality. Who can match the beauty of Krishna? And Krishna is walking in, dressed like a simple cowherd boy. So at that time, Shukadeva Goswami describes how everybody saw Krishna. Mallanam Ashanir. When all the Mallana means all the Mallas, all the wrestlers. When they saw Krishna, they felt, oh, a thunderbolt has struck us. It was like that. Why did they think like that? Actually, in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this is described even more elaborately. So in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami states that Duratastam avalokya madhavam komalangopi rangamandale. In the Rangamandala, in that stadium, in that wrestling arena, Duratastam avalokya, from a distance, the wrestlers of Kamsa saw Krishna entering. Duratastam avalokya madhavam. Madhava, Krishna entered the arena. So these wrestlers were in the center of the arena and in the center of the stadium, and from one end Krishna entered. So they saw from a distance, oh, this is the person Kamsa was talking to us about. And when they saw him, Parvato Udbata Bhujantaropi. Who are these wrestlers? Parvata Udbata Bhujantara. Bhuja means the two shoulders. Antara means the space between the two shoulders. Bhujantara. That means the chest. So their chests were all like Parvata. Parvatodbhata Bhujantara. Their chests were like mountains. You know, where you see all these bodybuilders and all that. Their chests will be very raised and strongly built arms and all that. So Parvatodbhata Bhujantaropi. They were so strongly built. And Krishna, Komalanga. He's like a soft feather, a soft petal of a lotus. Like that. Delicate body, Krishna's. So when these wrestlers who had such strong steel-like bodies, they saw that soft, delicate body of Krishna, what was the emotion they went through? Kamsa malla nivaha vivyate. Although they were so strongly built, when they saw Krishna, they got perturbed. Oh, Krishna, we have to fight with this person. This is not going to be an ordinary fight. They got nervous. They got nervous seeing the Komalangopi. Even though Krishna is so Komala, these strongly built the wrestlers, they got nervous. We have to fight with him. Oh my God, this is not going to be a small affair. So you see how inconceivable this is. On the one hand, Komalanga, soft, delicate like a lotus Krishna is, and seeing him, these steel-bodied wrestlers are all shivering. Mallana Masinir. Now, the Mallas saw Krishna like this. Niram Naravaraha. There were other common men of Mathura. They were all assembled. When they saw Krishna, how did they see? They saw Krishna, oh, he's the best of men. Although Krishna was 10.5 years old, Krishna appeared like almost 16 years. He was like a fresh youth. You know, just stepping into youth. So when they saw him, very beautiful, and very, the way he conducts himself, the way he is walking in so majestically, he is the best of men. We have not seen any man better than him. Like that they saw him. Mallana Masanir, Dhunam Naravaraha, Strinam Smaro Murtiman. For all the women folk of Mathura, when they saw Krishna, they felt he is Cupid personified, such a beautiful personality. They could not control their emotions. And Gopanam Swajana. All the Gopas, the Vrajavasis, they were all sitting there. When they saw Krishna entering, he is also one cowherd boy. He is our person. He is our villager, our Brajavasi he is. All the Brajavasis felt he is our Gopala, Krishna, Kanaya. So they felt he is our own person. And at the same time, there were all of Kamsa's associates, the evil kings who were sitting there in the arena. So Asatam, Bhupalanam, all those evil kings, for them, Shasta, Krishna appeared like, oh, he is a very powerful person. He is going to punish all of us. He is a real powerful king personality. This is how they saw him. And Swapitroho Shishuhu, Nanda, who was sitting there, he is Krishna's father. When he saw, he is my son, my dear son. Nanda Maharaj saw Krishna like that. And above all of them, in a separate stage, well protected by all the bodyguards who were sitting, Kamsa was sitting. Kamsa also saw Krishna entering the stadium. How did Kamsa see? Mrityur Bhojapater. Bhojapati, the king of the Bhojas, which is Kamsa, when he saw, he was perspiring, sweating, his heart started thudding. My death has come. For him, he did not see Krishna, he saw death personified. And then what happened? There were others, all the rishis and sages, how did they see him? Tattvam param yoginam, all the yogis saw, this is the supreme absolute truth who is stepping into the stadium. That is how they saw him. And Vrishninam paradevateti vidito rangamandale. So Sagrajaha, along with his elder brother, Krishna entered the Rangamandala like this. And the Vrishnis, when they saw Krishna, they saw he is the best descendant of our dynasty. In our dynasty, there have been so many great people. He is the best person of all. This is how they saw him. So you see, one Krishna, when he is entering the arena, how different people are seeing Krishna differently like this. Multi-faceted personality. So God is not to be appreciated just as a very person to be feared. Krishna appears to be a fearful personality to those who do not know him intimately, who are not his devotees, and to those who are inimical towards him. But if you become his devotee, then you become very, very dear to him. So this is the inconceivable feature of Krishna. Krishna is smiling and entering the arena. Although he is smiling, he is striking fear in the heart of the wrestlers and Kamsa. You see how this is so inconceivable. Actually, this inconceivable nature of Krishna pervades all his characteristics and attributes. All features of Krishna is pervaded by this inconceivableness. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu built the whole philosophy, Siddhanta, based on the inconceivable nature of Krishna. Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. The Bheda and Abheda. Simultaneously we are one with and different from Krishna, and this is Achintya, inconceivable. Unless we accept this inconceivable characteristic of Krishna, we cannot understand him fully. We cannot understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave a very beautiful example to illustrate the inconceivable nature of Krishna. Such a beautiful example in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Ambujam Ambuni Jatam. Ambujam means the lotus. The lotus is born within the water. Ambuni, within the water, Jatam. The lotus is born within the water. The water is the source of the lotus. Kvachidapina Jatam Ambujad Ambu. There is never a possibility of water coming out from lotus. Lotus always comes out from water. Can water ever come out of lotus? It is not possible, right? It is inconceivable. It's not possible yet. Murabhidi tad viparitam. But when it comes to Murabhid, that means Krishna who killed Mura, the Mura demon. When it comes to Krishna, tad viparitam, it becomes the opposite. Why? Padambojan Mahanadi Jata. From the lotus feet of Krishna, a great river has come out. Ganga has come out from the lotus feet of Krishna. See, from a lotus, water has come out. Not water, a big river has come out. You see how inconceivable this is. Water can never come from a lotus. Lotus always comes from water. But in the case of Krishna, it is the reverse. Water comes from his lotus feet. So this demonstrates the inconceivable nature of Krishna. So therefore, as devotees of Krishna, we can appreciate the multifaceted aspects of Krishna, his character, not only his feature of being fear personified, being fearful to fear personified, but being so sweet that he becomes afraid of his own devotee. So this is when we understand this feature of Krishna, we can understand the absolute truth in full. That is why only by bhakti, pure devotional service, we can understand the supreme absolute truth in completeness. So the devatas, they are also devotees, but they are sakama bhaktas. They are not ananya bhaktas. And so therefore, for them, Krishna is somebody whom we have to bow down to, whom we have to always afraid of, whom even fear personified fears. This is how they appreciate. But the Bhagavatam reveals that is not the only feature of Krishna. If you have to understand Krishna in fullness, you have to understand Yashoda Mai and how Krishna is afraid. That Krishna whom even fear personified fears is afraid of Yashoda Mai, his own devotee. So this is the full understanding of the supreme absolute truth, which is revealed in the pages of the Srimad Bhagavatam and further revealed to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and so mercifully revealed to all of us by Srila Prabhupada. Without Prabhupada's books, without Prabhupada's teachings, where we could have understood all these things? Why Krishna is afraid of Yashoda Mai? And why all these different people are seeing Krishna differently? We would never have been able to understand all this. The inconceivable nature of Krishna, we would never have been able to grasp it. And all this is possible simply because of our beloved spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada's compassion. Because of his mercy, we are able to understand this. And so therefore, we should study the Srimad Bhagavatam very seriously, and that will give us access to the sweet feature of Krishna, which is otherwise inaccessible to everybody. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments. Do we have time for questions? I hope so. Anybody has any question or comment? So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.